Hey, it's May, and welcome to another bookish video. You're gonna need your cup of coffee because we're gonna be talking about all the books that I read in May. So let's do it. So I have my trusty iPad here where I took notes throughout the month of all the books that I read this month. This month was a very, very heavy ebook month where I went on my Libby and I read a lot of books on Libby. Trying to think if I did one audiobook and one physical book and the rest, oh, that's a lie. I did two audiobooks, one physical book, and two ebooks. So let's talk about them. I'm going to start with my physical book that I read, and that is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I did not think I was going to love this book. In all honesty, I thought I wasn't going to like it because, from what my sister told me, there's not a lot of romance in it. It's very it's more fantasy, less romantasy. So I put it off for a while from reading it because it was just one of those things that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But after a few chapters of reading this, I actually really ended up loving it. And I gotta say, my favorite character is Jace in this story. I just love his character. I love that he is arrogant, he's funny. Um, it's just a really great character all around. But it definitely did take me a while to actually get into the book. At first, I was not really into it until probably 5 or 6 chapters in, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I really love this book." So, it really took me a long time to read this book, longer than I wanted it to. I want to say it took me about 2 weeks, something like that. And honestly, if I just pushed really hard through the first 6 chapters, I probably would have been finished with the book in a week. However, I really, really loved it. I think Jason Simon are really great characters. They bring a lot of sarcasm, a lot of just like funny vibes. And to me, it gave off many different vibes. Like when I was reading it, I was texting my sister because my sister is the one who actually gave me this book to have. And I was texting her, I was like, why is this reminding me of like a mix of Percy Jackson and Harry Potter? Because if you don't know, the main villain in this story is a guy named Valentine. And then in the story, sorry if this is spoilers, I don't know if it is or not, but in the story, Valentine is trying to come up of an army of essentially purebloods in the fantasy world. And I was like, this is literally Voldemort. Like, this is copy and paste Voldemort. But I loved it. I really, really did. And then with Clary's character, Clarissa, like she gave me such Percy Jackson vibes because I'm pretty sure, even though I haven't read the books of Percy Jackson, that's a kind of the same vibe. Like Percy doesn't know that he's like half a god's son. Like he just grew up not knowing that, and he has like these powers and stuff that he doesn't know about, and his friends have to tell him about and train him in. And so like those kind of vibes were like the very exact same of this book. So if you like Percy Jackson, you might like the Mortal Instruments. Is it Mortal? Yeah. So I definitely was looking for a little bit of romance in this book, and there was a small romance, a little love triangle towards the end of the book. However, that kind of gets like completely cut off at the very end. Like you're left with a very shocking um what's the word? Very shocking details that you're like, "Ooh, that's this can't be anymore." However, guys, like I was shipping Jace and Clarissa so hard before I found out what was actually going on, and I'm really mad, but there's more books in this series that I can read. So I'm curious. I'm very curious. I was watching Carrie Can Read's like summary of this book, and I was also like sneakily reading the comments. Anyways, also this is a spoiler, so I'm gonna put spoilers bright on the screen here. I knew, I knew from the moment I opened the book and I met Hodge, I knew he was evil. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, anytime there is a professor who's like really, really close with the kids and really, really like up in their business, I'm like, it's evil. It's evil. It's evil. And 98% of the time I'm right. And I knew that Hodge was evil. I really did. Called it. um, but I think I gave this book a 4 star. Originally, it was going to be like, I think a 3, but then as I got more and more into the book, I was like, oh, this is so good. This is a 4 star. And there is no spice in this book. There is language, but no spice, which is really awesome. So if you're looking for a YA no spice book that's fantasy, City of Bones. The second book that I read in the month of May was The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros, which technically I did not actually read this book. I audiobooked it and I just devoured this book. It was so good. At first, I was a little confused because I didn't know what the book was about going into it. And so I was at first confused about how there's a dual timeline in it. So just be aware of that if you're going to pick up the book. It is set during like a modern day and then also during World War II, like closer to the end of World War II, I believe. And my goodness, this book had me bawling at the end of it. Like I was just like too stunned to speak. I was bawling on the couch. Like, how could this book do this to me? And it is one of those romance books, and I was saying this in one of my other videos. I love a book, love a book that leaves you unresolved at the end of it, leaves you questioning, leaves you wondering, leaves you like just unwell. Um, and this did this for me. Um, I gave this book a 5 star, and this is definitely a 2.5 to 3 level spice. I think there were like 2 or 3 open door explicit scenes in it. So just be aware of that if you are picking up the book. But my word, I thought this was just going to be a typical romance where, the guy gets the girl in like both scenarios and everything was going to be okay. No, not in the slightest. I mean, yeah, there is some of that, but there is a twist at the very end of the book. And if you know, you know, but there is a twist at the very end of the book that leaves you like, oh my word. Like you're just like too stunned to speak. Like, what is going on? And I gave this book 5 stars because I'm like, this is something I want on my shelf. Like, I want other people to read this book who love romance. This fueled my historical romance like need at the time. I just absolutely loved and devoured this book. And in my notes, I said that this book will have you grieve something that you didn't know that you would or could grieve. And I absolutely love that. I think it's just a really, really great book. So this is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, and then I kind of was like, okay, what do I read after that? Like, I don't even know. So I decided to pick up a classic through audiobook, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Gosh, I am so sorry. I feel like I should be absolutely in love with this book, but I think I am not for one reason. And that reason is because I have obviously seen the movie before I read the book. And so, like, therefore, going into it, I like already knew what was going on, already knew what was happening. And so I was just kind of like, meh, this is all right. This is okay. Like, this isn't fueling anything. This isn't. So, I mean, I give this book a 4 star. I feel like it's illegal to rate a classic. Like, I feel like if you rate a classic book, like, that's not okay. But I mean, I gave it 4 stars because, like, it is a classic. It's really good. I love the story Pride and Prejudice, but I was bored. I just gotta put that out there. I was bored reading it. Obviously, there's no spice, no language, or anything like that. I did DNF the book. I think I only made it like 60%, maybe 70%, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need to finish this book. I know what happens. So, I think it's obviously super hilarious book, especially at the very beginning. Like I love Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Bennett, like their vibes together. I love how funny Mr. Bennett is, and he's probably my favorite character out of the whole book because he's just hilarious. Like he's just sarcastic, he's hilarious. I don't even know how to put it. So he's definitely without a doubt my favorite character.
What excellent boiled potatoes.
Following that book, I did a poll on my Instagram and I said, would should I read what is it? Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, Remarkably Bright Creatures, or Yesteryear, which Yesteryear and Remarkably Bright Creatures are still on my TBR, something I really want to read and get my hands on. However, the library right now, wait for it, Remarkably Bright Creatures. I think there's like I'm like 122nd in line for the book. They literally have it like written on there that my hold is going to take several months because of how many people are waiting for that book. And I just don't have the finances right now to just buy every book that I want to read. So I'm just kind of waiting in that limbo. I might see if a friend has it and if I can borrow it from a friend. But yeah, that's kind of like where we're at right now. And then yesteryear, I've been hearing so much about and honestly seems so like interesting to me. Um, but then again, I don't either our library doesn't have it or it's on hold for several months, something like that. So, everyone voted for Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which she is a really popular modern romance writer right now. I've heard a lot about her. I've heard that her books aren't super spicy, which I enjoy personally. This book definitely was not spicy. Well, it had some spice. I think I rated it like at 2 to 2.5 spice level, because there was like one or two scenes, something like that, um, out of like the whole book. Um, and I did this on ebook. This was actually my first month and first time ever reading any books on ebook. And honestly, I was so against it for so long, but I'm honestly a huge fan of it now because I can literally take my phone anywhere and read anywhere and not have to take a physical book with me. So, and that's really handy coming from a mom who like breastfeeds at night and stuff like that. Like, I can pull up my book and read while I'm feeding my daughter. Like, that's a win. So, we read that book. It is about two girls, Emma and Maddie, who are traveling nurses. And Emma goes online and basically, like, meets, or not meets, but like DMs this guy, I think, if that's how she does it. And he's like, hey, like, what if did a contract here in Minnesota where I live and we can go on a date? Because apparently there's this whole thing where all their exes end up finding the love of their life after dating them. So they like jokingly are like, oh, we have this curse on us. So if we date each other, maybe we will find the love of our life after this point. And so that's what they do. She gets a contract in Minnesota and they end up dating and they have like a deal where after so many dates they're gonna break up or whatever. But it's like this book, I was so shocked. This book had me actually emotional because it's so much more than a romance. There is a family toxic trauma element to it that was actually really, really good and had me in tears at one point. And I was just very, very surprised. And so I loved it. So, yeah, like I was saying, Emma has a tough relationship with her mom, and Justin also has an interesting relationship with his mom. Justin's also like the oldest and has three younger siblings who are like high school and under, and he's like 28 or something like that. So that was very interesting to kind of read about a dynamic that I'd never read in other books. And Yeah, so I think the spice ends up happening about 70% of the book. So that's what I appreciate. There was a lot of like building up before it hits. And even at that, there was only like one or two spicy scenes in it out of the whole book. And the book's like 400, almost 500 pages. So it was very, very good. Um, I wrote in my notes, I said, this book is about breaking down walls that have been there since childhood with unrelenting love. And I love that. I love when I read a book and even though the book may not be like a Christian book, like I can point out themes of like, yes, like this is what like Christ does for us. This is a good example of what it looks like to love like Christ or whatever it is. Um, and I definitely saw that in this book. Like I said, Abby Jimenez, I don't know if she's Christian or not, but I definitely saw this example of like just love that transcends all the boundaries and everything like that. So, um, I will say one thing is Emma's mom, specifically, as I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of trauma, there's a little family drama with that. Emma's mom reminds me of the mom in the TV show Maid. So if you've seen the TV show Maid, Maid, on Netflix, and you know the mom that I'm talking about in that TV show, I'll insert like a picture. That is the type of mom that Emma has. And so when I was reading that, I was like picturing her in that show. And I was like, oh, yeah, like this paints a good picture of how this is all like playing out and everything. And the very last book I read in the month of May is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I read the book Better Than the Movies a while ago. Absolutely loved it. It definitely gives off the 2000s rom-com vibes, which I really love. And I was excited to read this one. I rated this one a probably 3.5, 4 stars. I can't remember if there's any spice. I think it's no spice, but there definitely is language. So just be aware of that if you're going into the book. There is language, but no spice. I rated this a 3.5/4 star because it fed what I needed it to feed, which is that like modern romance. However, I did find it a little cliche. It has the not misconception, miscommunication trope in it, which I had never read a book with that type of trope in it. And I have now, and I'm like, y'all, why didn't you just talk about your problems to one another? Why did you just like let this fester for the last like 2 years? Like that's insane. Um, but no, I really did love the book. I love being brought back to Wes and Liz and their friendship dynamic and all of those things. There's a lot of yearning happening on Wes's end toward Liz. And I just thought that was really sweet. Um, I will say that I really struggled to finish like the last 20% of the book because after they kind of had after they like cleared up the miscommunication, I was just kind of like, all right, like let's finish this book, let's get it done with. Basically, if you don't know about the book, Wes and Liz, they end up breaking up their freshman year of college, and Liz doesn't really understand why they broke up. She just thought he was being like just a terrible boyfriend and like cheated on her and all of that stuff. And so she goes 2 years without seeing him, talking to him, nothing. She's kind of like remade herself as a woman in college. And all of a sudden, Wes comes to her college to play baseball. And she's like, what are you doing here essentially? And he's like, I'm here to play baseball. Well, he sees her, he's like, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful lady, it's Liz. Like I haven't seen her in 2 years. And he wants to like reconnect, rekindle all those things. He's healed from the past. And she's like, no, stay away essentially. And so they kind of have to talk about the past, talk about what happened in order to like move forward and heal and move forward in their friendship slash relationship. And so it's just like a lot of different things. It wasn't my favorite because I'm like, I don't know, it just seems so like I can't even think of the word, just silly? I don't know. But it did feed that need that I had in my heart for a modern romance, and that is what I got. Um, so yeah, it definitely you could definitely see what was coming pretty clearly as the pieces started to unfold. Um, but yeah. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video of all the books that I read in May. Maybe there's some you want to pick up, maybe there's some there isn't. Now I just want to clarify and say that just because a book wasn't like stellar for me doesn't mean that it's not going to be great for you. So just because I rated a certain number doesn't mean that you're not going to like it. So definitely try out these books. Try out what you want to try out. DNF a book. It's okay to DNF a book. It's okay to read slowly. It's okay to read fast. Like, you go at your own pace. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!